Contemporary debates treat gender diversity as a recent phenomenon, a sudden break in the historical timeline that creates friction in our modern social structures. A civilization is a cognitive operating system, recalibrating based on resources. In survival mode, it enforces a rigid masculine and feminine binary, strictly for biological reproduction. But with a wealth surplus, the system upgrades, allowing high-level social plasticity and a broader spectrum of human experience. Historically, the formal recognition of transgender and non-binary identities often functions as a signal that a civilization has transitioned from a state of mere survival to one of high-complexity abundance. Ancient high-complexity societies integrated this societal upgrade directly into their religious, administrative, and economic infrastructure. The Navajo Nadlehi are a primary example. By combining traditional masculine healing roles with feminine master weaving, these individuals were able to accumulate and redistribute resources, effectively serving as an economic safety net for their entire community. This wasn't unique to the Americas. In Mesopotamia, the Gala served as official temple administrators, while Incan Kwariwarmi shamans performed rituals for Chuquichinchay, a dual-gendered jaguar deity represented by this specific vessel. These appointments were strategic. Ancient cultures believed that individuals who existed outside the binary possessed the unique psychological fluidity required to bridge the gap between the mortal and the divine. For these empires, gender diversity was a structurally essential technology, a tool used to manage the complex administrative and spiritual needs of the state. There is a mechanical logic to why this upgrade benefits a civilization. It centers on the reduction of computational noise within a population. Forcing millions of complex people into only two rigidly defined roles creates massive societal friction. Energy is wasted on psychological masking and conforming to expectations, creating a permanent bottleneck for human potential. In this dynamic, a gender-fluid individual acts as a coherent oscillator, a central balancing gear. They function as a grounding wire, absorbing the static and tension between the polarized masculine and feminine poles. This pluralistic approach builds a grid of side streets. It allows the society's collective cognitive energy to move like a highly focused laser beam of resonance, unimpeded by binary friction. When human intelligence and emotional labor flow with zero latency, a civilization shifts away from a primitive focus on survival and into a state of advanced social and economic specialization. But what happens when that abundance vanishes? When an empire's resources are depleted, the operating system undergoes a violent contraction. In the 1920s, the Weimar Republic pioneered sexual modernity, fostering thriving gender-diverse subcultures. However, severe economic desperation in Germany led to a sudden systemic shift. The society reverted to power-saving mode. Struggling civilizations often scapegoat their most visible minorities to artificially simplify a failing reality, violently forcing the population back into primitive binaries. A systemic attack on gender fluidity is often a reliable alarm bell signaling civilizational stress and the onset of systemic collapse. This cycle reflects a broader theme in esoteric philosophy, where crossing the gender binary has universally been viewed as the ultimate endpoint of spiritual evolution. In alchemy, the Rebis, a two-headed being representing the union of opposites, was a prerequisite for the great work. Reaching this state of integrated gender was considered necessary to achieve spiritual perfection. We see this echoed in the Hindu deity Ardhanarishvara, whose half-male and half-female form symbolizes an androgynous primordial whole that exists before consciousness descends into the physical plane. Today, the visibility of transgender identities acts as a spiritual barometer for our own society. As we face modern pressures, we are forced to decide which path our operating system will take. Are we retreating into the violent friction of survival mode, or are we finally building the coherent resonance of a true golden age?